we overcome fear? So this is specific to fear of confidence because I'm scared I'll overestimate my capacity and spread myself too thin. I'm also afraid of love.
Okay, those are a few different fears all in one question. What I would say is when we feel fear, ask yourself where you feel it in your body. So for me, it's oftentimes in my heart. And um, there's a really great practice called the downward arrow as part of CBT. And then we ask ourselves sort of what's the underlying fear? You know, if my fear is not achieving my goal, what's underneath that? Not achieving my goal might mean that I'm not a good person. If I'm not a good person, what's the fear under that? That I will end up alone. What's the fear under that? That I just won't exist anymore, which is actually a quite terrifying reality that you would stop to exist, that you would be alone, and that you wouldn't be a good person. So it makes sense sometimes if we feel like we're not reaching our goals or you know sometimes the fear might feel kind of fluffy on top, but in the end what's really driving that fear is something really big and meaningful. So how do we get over that, right? Like part of the human condition is to have an experience that is stressful and also overcome that. So we looked at those three different bubbles earlier. One of the best ways to start getting over our fears is to acknowledge them, to validate them. Like, of course you're scared. Like, this is huge. This is really important to you. Like, if you don't reach this goal, you feel like you don't exist anymore. And be kind to yourself in that moment. And then if you're struggling with the biological response of that fear, deep belly breathing. So you can bring your hands on your, I'm like going to show you like lower on your ribs here, right underneath your sternum, and into your diaphragm, and really breathing into your back, into your nose, and then exhaling through your nose. I know this sounds like quite silly, but what you're telling your body is that you're safe. And already the fear becomes less of a catastrophe and much more empowering for you to step forward. So there's looking at what your body's doing and how we can help your body through the fear, looking at what your mind's doing and how to help your mind, encouraging your mind, looking at what your emotions are feeling, and then finally, what's your spirit, you know, or your higher self, what's your higher self saying to you? I would say those are, I mean, if I could again talk about this for hours, so I'm trying to answer this quickly. In general, those are some strategies to kind of overcome some of the fears we're feeling when with goal setting, but also in life and in anxiety and experiencing that. I would also recommend if you're having a hard time doing it by yourself to talk to somebody that you care about and that cares about you. So whether that's a professional or someone that you feel safe with in your life, like a wise person, then definitely they can help you feel more empowered within that fear. But fear is a real thing and it is part of our life. So it's normal to sort of not know how to overcome it and to feel paralyzed by it sometimes.
Great. Thanks, Jade. Another question, not necessarily catered towards students, but what goals should the retired folks be following?
That's a good question too. There's a really nice visualization exercise that is for all ages, not just retired people. I think retirement is an incredible time for change because your life is changing for you. So I love working with people who are at tipping points or who are kind of, you're forced to change. You have no option but to change because your life has changed so much. So it's an exciting time to rediscover and explore who you are and what matters to you that life is presenting in front of you. So this exercise is really helpful for kind of all people, especially maybe if you're graduating or if you're in a big time of change. You can ask yourself this, if I am towards the end of my life and I've experienced a really beautiful life, a meaningful life, a life that I feel proud of, that I feel connected to, and you can close your eyes and really visualize um, a party, okay? And everyone's there and we're celebrating your life. You're not dead. You're part of this party and you're just further along in life than you are now. And you're at this party and you have a moment where you look back at the party and there's images that arise in the party that represent your life and the things that are meaningful and that matter to you. This is a bit abstract, but this exercise allows us to sort of go inside and see what would be meaningful for us towards if we were later further in life. Um, And this can give us directions too in terms of our goal setting. Goal setting is part of life all the time. Like the just if you're looking at your values, even if you're later in life, then those values start with that, like we did in our goal setting process. What are my values and what do I want to accomplish based off of these values? And what would be meaningful for me?